Hi, welcome to Movie Recap channel. If there are levels of zombie movies, then the zombies in this movie is definitely the king level. Not only do they have agile speed and powerful attack power, the number of zombies is also incredibly amazing. Just one look makes people's skin tingling. If you are unfortunate enough to be in such a post-apocalyptic world, I dare say you will not live more than 2 minutes at most. Let's revisit the $80 million zombie epic Zombie World War. The story begins on a busy Philadelphia street. Jerry and his family are about to go out, but the crowded roads are blocking their way. Sherry turns on the radio and there's a news report on the radio. Rabies has broken out in 12 countries around the world. The outbreak has become uncontrollable. Old Jerry was listening in fascination. A motorcycle suddenly whizzed by, scraped off the reflector of the car. He wanted to get out of the car to argue, but the other side had already disappeared. Jerry was just about to return to the car. In the distance there was suddenly a violent explosion. As if there was some kind of riot. The quiet street suddenly became agitated. The traffic police urged everyone to return to the car immediately. Unexpectedly, the next moment was hit by a speeding truck. As an investigator, Jerry recognized the danger. A foot of gas and followed the runaway truck to escape from here. However, at that moment an ambulance suddenly sprang out. 2 cars were involved in a car accident. Luckily, the Pitt family was not seriously injured. At the same time, the zombie virus began a massive outbreak. The entire city of Philadelphia was instantly turned into hell. The zombies were interspersed with the crowd. They were incredibly fast and agile. They attacked humans with reckless abandon. As long as the zombies are targeted, there is almost no chance of survival, and the speed of mutation is extremely fast. Once bitten, it takes only 12 seconds to turn into a zombie. In a panic, Sherry found an RV and left Philadelphia with his family, but in just a few minutes the city had completely fallen. Sherry drove all the way to the outskirts of the city, temporarily escaped the zombie attack. That's when Eric, a top unofficial, calls and says he'll send a helicopter to pick up Jerry within an hour. As a good retired investigator, the organization needs him now. But his daughter had an asthma attack. They must first go to the store to get medicine. So they went to the nearest supermarket. The situation here is also very bad. Due to time constraints, the family had to split up. Jerry was in charge of getting the medicine while his wife went to get food. But when Jerry came out of the pharmacy, he saw 2 criminals robbing his wife. Without saying a word, he shot one of them. The other one ran away. They came out of the store and found the RV had already been driven away. Sherry immediately called Eric to tell him his problem. But Eric said the helicopter might not make it. At the latest, it would take until the next morning. There was no choice. Sherry had to take his family to a nearby apartment for shelter. They fled from the zombies. They were taken in by a Mexican family upstairs. By the early hours of the next morning, Jerry suggested they come with him, but they refused. Jerry had to respect their wishes. He started making equipment to fight the zombies. Everything was ready. They set out, but as soon as they opened the door to the stairwell, a zombie jumped on them. The quick-witted Jerry shot it and killed it. But at the same time, the sound of gunfire also attracted more zombies. They could only run to the rooftop desperately, but the speed of the zombies is too fast. Jerry had to cover from behind. A zombie pounced on him. In the nick of time, the zombie is suddenly shot down. It's a child of a Mexican family. It turns out that Jerry's family hadn't been gone long. The zombies had stormed into their home. Only the child survived. They came to the rooftop. The wife immediately set off a flare. The helicopter found them too. And as soon as Jerry got to the rooftop, he immediately ran to the edge of the building, counting from 1 to 12. Because in the fight with the zombies, the blood splashed in his mouth. Sherry finally breathed a sigh of relief. If he was really infected, he could then jump immediately to prevent harm to his family. Good thing he was okay. That's when the helicopter arrived. But at the same time, the zombies were swarming in. Sherry had to block the door and let the others go first. When they are safe, Sherry quickly ran to the helicopter under the cover of the soldiers' fire. Sherry was rescued. The helicopter landed at sea on an aircraft carrier. This was the safest place to be for now. The situation is much more serious than Jerry had imagined. The virus is spreading rapidly around the world. Even the president is dead. But the government knows nothing about the virus. The only clue is an email received from South Korea. They call the mutated infected people zombies. but now they've lost contact with them. To stop this disaster, the Supreme Commander wants Pitt to lead a doctor to investigate the cause. Once we find out the source of the virus, it should be possible to develop an antiviral serum. Carrier refused on the spot, because he didn't want to leave his family. But there's no room for idle hands here. If you want to be safe, you have to work for the government. The implication is that if you don't work, get off the ship. Jerry had no choice but to agree. After saying goodbye to his family, he got on a plane to Korea. The doctor was confident about this mission. He felt that the virus was like a killer in nature. It must have left some kind of clue when it was working. Once he found it, everything could be solved. When Jerry heard that, he thought he was very capable. But as soon as the plane reached its destination, a large number of zombies pounced on him. The young doctor had never seen such a scene before. He panicked. He turned around and tried to return to the cabin. But he slipped. The gun in his hand went off, sending him to God on the spot. Luckily, the American troops stationed here came to meet them and brought them safely to the camp. Although the doctor is dead, but the mission must continue. But everything in the lab was reduced to ashes. The captain told Jerry that the man in the hospital bed was the first infected person at the camp. He was a medic sent to verify the cause of death of a soldier. Little did he know that the soldier had mutated. The medic was bitten and infected with the virus. He came back to the camp and attacked the others. They knocked the zombies down and burned them. It only barely stopped the zombies here, since all the clues have been burned. As for how the soldier was infected, the captain didn't know either. Just when Jerry thought he was going home with nothing, a CIA intelligence officer in custody seemed to have something to say. He said Israel was living inside the wall. Before the outbreak of the virus, the whole country was completely sealed off. If you want answers, go to the capital of Israel. Find a man named Tom. So Jerry was ready to leave for Jerusalem. Before he could leave, he had to fill up the plane's fuel tanks. To reduce the noise, they rode their bikes in the direction of the plane. While they were on their way, Sherry's cell phone suddenly rang. The zombies nearby were instantly awakened. The resident soldiers immediately fired to cover. The captain was responsible for refueling the plane. Sherry and the others also reached the cabin safely, but the cost was the loss of all the resident troops. After an overnight flight, the plane landed safely in Jerusalem. Sherry told the pilot to stay here, waiting for himself to return before nightfall. He was acting as an investigator with the local troops. They found Tom. Tom told Pitt that the reason Israel was building the wall early was because they had intercepted a piece of information between Indian generals. It mentioned that the Indians were fighting the zombies, but Jerry was confused. How could a country build a wall because of an unconfirmed intelligence report? Of course not. Because Israel has a rule called the 10th man. That means that 9 people saw the same piece of information and came to the same conclusion. Then the 10th person's responsibility is to disagree and then prove that the other 9 people are wrong. Tom was the 10th person. It sounds ridiculous. That's why Israel was the only country in the world that's safe. Not only have they built up their fortifications, they were also receiving refugees from other countries. But just then the army of zombies outside the wall suddenly became agitated. It turned out that the refugees inside the wall were celebrating their survival. They were singing happily. The noise of the microphone was so loud that thousands of zombies were drawn to the same place. They were like building a human ladder. They were approaching the wall as fast as they could. The world's last fortress was about to be breached. Hordes of zombies leapt from the walls. They began to attack the surviving humans. Everyone ran frantically. Helicopters tried to stop them, but the sheer number of zombies made it useless. They swept in like a wave. The soldiers' bullets were useless. Sherry was escorted by soldiers and quickly left the scene. On the way to escape, Sherry saw some strange phenomena. The zombies didn't attack an old man and a skinny bald boy, but right now it was important to escape, so Jerry didn't think much about it. A female soldier covering him was accidentally bitten by a zombie finger. In desperation, Jerry cut off the female soldier's arm with a knife. This method was very effective. After 12 seconds, the female soldier did not change. The helicopter that came to pick them up got tangled up in the walkers and instantly lost control. It crashed on the spot. The plane waiting at the airport also left early. In desperation, Jerry saw a passenger plane taking off not far away. Soldiers forced the airliner to stop. Jerry was sent up safely. Looking down, the whole of Israel had completely fallen. While treating the wound of the female soldier, Jerry suddenly thought of what he had just seen. The old man and the child who had not been attacked by zombies. Along with what the doctor had said earlier, Jerry had a bold idea. He immediately used the satellite phone to call Eric. He asked Eric to check the WHO nearby and told the captain to land at the nearest World Health Center. But not surprisingly, an accident happened on the plane. A passenger found something strange in the toilet. When the flight attendant opened the door, a zombie suddenly appeared inside. Panic spread across the cabin. Jerry instructed everyone to keep quiet. Together they tried to block the passage with boxes. But one of the boxes fell and attracted the zombies' attention. The zombies instantly broke through the defense line. Chaos erupted in the cabin. Jerry grabbed a grenade and threw it without hesitation. A hole opened in the plane. The zombies were sucked out by the strong airflow. Although the zombie attack was stopped, the plane was about to crash. Jerry and the female soldier strapped on their seat belts, preparing for the impact. Miraculously, Jerry survived again. Only his abdomen was pierced by a piece of iron. The female soldier also survived. The two helped each other and continued forward. Finally, they arrived at a nearby WHO center and were rescued by the survivors inside. Jerry slept for 3 days and 3 nights. When he woke up, the first thing he did was contact Eric. He told him he was still alive. When he learned that his family had been removed from the ship, Jerry was furious, but there was nothing Eric could do. Jerry continued the mission. He believed the reason zombies ignored some people was because those people already carried deadly diseases. Zombies only wanted healthy hosts. So if humans injected themselves with a dangerous pathogen, the zombies might ignore them. To test the idea, Jerry entered a zombie-filled laboratory to retrieve pathogens. He carefully moved through the corridor, but the researcher accidentally made a noise. Zombies were awakened and began chasing them. Jerry created noise to lure the zombies away while the others searched for the pathogen. Finally, Jerry reached the warehouse alone, but a zombie stood outside the door. With no weapon left, Jerry wrote a farewell message to his family. Then he randomly injected himself with one of the pathogens. After waiting a few seconds, he slowly opened the door. The zombie walked past him without attacking. The experiment worked. Jerry calmly walked through the hallway while zombies ignored him. Later, the World Health Organization mass-produced the camouflage vaccine and distributed it around the world. In the end, Jerry reunited with his family. However, the crisis was not completely over. Because the source of the virus was still unknown, humanity would continue the fight to survive.